Hello YouTubers, hope you're doing well today. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, hello, welcome to the video. I hope you're all staying safe out there, and my very sincerest thoughts and prayers and wishes to you and your loved ones watching this video, even though we've never met personally. It means a lot to me, for you to join me watching this video today, and I hope that you're staying safe and staying well. Glad you're enjoying the videos. Okay, before we begin, I just want to show you some really cool updates I've been doing. So the first up is these amazing cable runs that I've just installed yesterday, as you can see along the side of the track, in anticipation of the rest of the conductor rails being laid. These are individual white metal cast posts that I got from Radley Models, and you basically got to paint them and then install the cable yourself, much like a loom. And as you can see, they're all painted and in, and I think they look really effective. And again, if you live in London and you travel by underground train, this is normally what you see in the open sections as you're going along on both sides of the track. It's the cable runs that house the 630 volt negative and positive traction cables for the signalling equipment, and the top silver pipe is the compressed air main line pipe that supplies equipment on the side of the track. So I did those up to there, just up towards the road bridge, which is up there. And I just paused this while I plugged my damn battery in. Okay, so the cable runs have been installed over there, like I said, and then over the other side, I'll just bring the camera over the other side there, you can just be able to notice that. I'll put some more over there. They've got to be installed all the way along past the level crossing there, and then all the way along the back there, over there. Those GRESLEY coaches, they're new, and you'll be seeing those later on. I'll be talking about this. I've had to do a sort of pre-edit on this video, so what you're seeing now is after the film footage I took, because I lost half of it earlier. And also I'm going to shut the curtains in a minute, because it's absolutely a blindingly really warm day outside, and the sunshine is not doing the layout any good whatsoever. It can cause some serious track buckles and damage, so I don't like to keep these curtains open too long, so I'll try and do this as quick as I can. The other new addition to the layout this June is our 1938 tube stop, which is just sitting in the platform there. Again, you'll see it running off in a minute. And in the last video you saw me upload, before this one, I did show you how to motorise and fit the motors to this static train made by Exclusive First Editions EFE, and this is now in service on the layout, ready to go. Just a couple of things that I've done with this train all the way along. For example, the single and double doors on the train, I've painted the step plates the shiny aluminium metallic finish, which is correct. And also one of the other additions, if I just move this TPO bin out of the way, you'll see as well. Try and get it in shot. There we are. If you look at the offside cab door, not only is the step for it painted silver, which is correct, but underneath that there's a little step. That was never a factory fitted item on these EFE tube trains. This is purely a scratch built item that I've added myself, part of a signal ladder cut down to size. And on the real trains, obviously, these were located on either side of the driver's side and the offside of each cab to assist with, obviously, pulling the train outside. On the middle door on the front of the cab, I've painted, again in silver, the, come on camera, you stupid epoxy thing. Right, if you look on the middle door, there's right above the wedge lock coupling, I've painted that detail silver there. And like I said, that's about it. In a minute you're going to see the camera, some video footage of this running around the layout, and all I can say is this train, a couple of things I want to mention is, number one, this particular train has only got two 10 Shodo motors in the front car, which is up the other end of the platform ready to go. But apart from that, it's got nothing else added to it in terms of, like, for example, Metro model bogies, which people have been raving on about. And if you read on the online forums and see videos on YouTube and social media, oh, mine's got Metro model bogies. Well, that's great, nothing wrong with that. But mine hasn't. I've simply taken out the horrible anti-friction springs that are in the bogie, the aluminium little bits of metal, locked those in the bin, and just added a little bit of lubrication oil in the axle holes, and you'll see the results in a moment in the running bit of the video, because without, as they say, proof in the pudding, you can't really gauge what a model is going to perform like. But certainly in terms of how mine runs, you'll see in a minute that mine runs perfectly sweet, and I don't need to add anything to it apart from the 2 motors in the front. So it just goes to show that you don't need to fork out for any extra bits apart from the motors and the cars themselves. These are quite expensive now on eBay, I believe. If you just want to buy 1 carriage, they're quite pricey. So mine's a 4-car unit, and the London Transport Museum, they sell, I think for £199 you can buy either the 4-car 38 or certainly the silver 59/62 4-car as a static model from the museum. That's £199. With 2 motors, that's an extra £102, so work it out. I've got 2 4-car units of these EFE tube trains ready to go, so that's quite a good deal. Well, I'm certainly happy anyway. Before we move on to the other footage of the camera that I shot earlier today, because like I said, it's been so warm outside, and I really got to apologise, but if you look over the back of the layout there, the sun's shining on that bit of the layout, and I'm a little bit worried because yesterday I got some track buckle over there, not the actual running track, but the conductor rail that I'd laid last year. It actually bowed outwards, so I had to actually cut it and then split it in 2 sections and reattach it. So the L sunlight doesn't do any good for any model railway, so I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet as I can. But just a little bit of brief history about these trains, these 1938 tube stock trains. In reality, these were the first London tube train to have all its electrical equipment and motor and traction and control equipment underneath the floor, underneath the train itself. Whereas before, what was known as the standard stock trains, or the standard stock cars, had all the motor equipment in this part of the train where the passenger saloon is. So half of that was taken up with motor equipment in there. There was a separate doorway that the driver walked through the motor compartment with all the resistors and contacts and relays, and then the driver's cab was up here, as per you see there. But it was quite a complicated affair, and the main thing is that the main design revolution with the 1938 tube stock was that not only was the motor equipment and traction control equipment underneath the floor, but there was so much space now available, as you see here modelled in these EFE 1938s, because there was more room for the passengers to sit, much more comfy, much more revolutionary design, spacious, better performance, better tube train overall. And these became the standard tube train design from 1938 onwards, certainly into the 1950s and 1960s. And that's really where the 1956, 59 and 62 tube stock took the design from, with the exception of the Craven's 1960 stock, which was sort of an imposter train, if you like, which I always refer to them as imposters, because a bit of a sad story there. I know I'm digressing a little bit, but the Craven's 1960 tube stock, if you Google that up online, Craven's heritage trains have actually got a 3-car, 2 Craven's driving cars and a 1938 trailer car in the middle, forming a 3-car, which was the former shuttle service on the Ongar branch up until 1994. But with the old Cravens, what happened was Cravens of Sheffield, they were given an order by London Transport to equip the central line for new rolling stock. But what happened was they only made so many driving motor cars, but the idea was they were going to run them with the existing standard stock trailers that were going to be converted to run with the new Craven's 1960 motor cars to form a mainline train for the central line. Unfortunately, it didn't work very well, and they became somewhat of a white elephant, so they got converted for automatic train operation out on the Hainault loop around about 1964-65, and that's where they ended up on the Ongar branch, the central, until 94. There's currently, I think, a track recording unit running about somewhere of former Craven's 1960 stock for the motor cars, but the full tube trains of London really from 1938 onwards, with the 1938 stock as you see here, and then in the 1950s they brought out the first aluminium tube train on the Piccadilly line, which was known as 1956 stock, which looked very much like the 1938 stock but without the streamlined dome cab as you see the profile shot there. And they were identical to the 1959-62 tube trains, only difference being they had 5 marker lights, which for those of you who don't know what marker lights are, if we look on the offside of the front of the cab there, you can see 3, but there's actually 5 lights that would illuminate up, and they'd change them for different destinations. Different head codes mean different destinations and so forth. But the 56 stock looked exactly like the front there without the dome cab, but they had the same appearance to that. And then after that it was the 59 stock, and then they were successful, along came the 62s. So really the 1938 stock started it all off with its design, the interior saloon car area being free of motor equipment, reliability, and these trains in service, once they sort of ironed out the problems in terms of like compressors and bits and pieces on them, they became very reliable, much through the 1950s and 1960s and 70s and right the way through to the sort of the early 1980s. And I think it was about 1988, a very famous musical composer you may or may not have heard of, a chap by the name of Andrew Lloyd Webber, had a Broadway stage play going on in the West End in London called Starlight Express, and what London Underground, or London Transport, London Underground at the time, they had a shortage of rolling stock on the Northern line. I think it was the 1972 Mark 1s, I think, that were going out of service and being maintained. They had quite a shortage of trains on the Northern. And what they did, they brought back I think 5 or 6 trains of 1938 stock, completely refurbished, and they had this beautiful refurbished Art Deco look, and they were known as the Starlight Expresses, and they were actually in conjunction with the West End Musical at the time. They were carrying the Starlight Express adverts inside the cars and were associated with them. So they were known to the enthusiasts and to the underground train aficionados as the 1938 Starlight Expresses. Anyway, this one's a 4-car, as you can see in the platform. It's a representation of the exact 1938 in immaculate condition, and mine, much like the London Transport Museum in Acton, is a 4-car, and the real life 1938 stock, there's a 4-car left, which is maintained and lovingly restored and operated by the London Transport Museum. It goes out on specials. If you Google it up on YouTube, you'll see what I mean. But anyway, this one in model form, as you'll see in a minute when it runs around the layout, has no problems whatsoever. It works very well in both forward and reverse movement. The only thing that I was going to say I've done differently this time, for some reason I just enjoyed doing the second set of trains much more than I did the first. I mean, the 59-62s were a pleasure to do, but this one I really enjoyed doing because of its specialness being a red underground train. And if you notice, for example, the couplings or the car space between the carriages I've slightly lengthened, as you can see there, and a little bit up the top there. I've given them a bit more extra room, and I found this to be much better. The silver 59-62 that you've seen in the previous uploads, that works okay, reasonably well. It takes the track okay, but this one I've really left a lot of scope for movement, much more better. And the only thing is with these trains, like mainline ready to run stuff, I say mainline because this is tube stock height, but if you buy any Hornby Bachmann or V trains or any kind of model railway ready to run stuff, normally we like our coaches and rolling stock to be pretty much close coupled. Unfortunately, guys and girls, ladies and gents, these things do need quite a little bit of distance between them, purely because of the track work and geometry on your layout. For example, if you've got fourth radius curves, or you've got flexi track with nice really big sweeping curves and a big layout, it's all good. But if you've got something a bit smaller, you're going to need to seriously think about lengthening your couplings just slightly. But but it works well. And I say with when it runs around the layout, as you'll see in a minute, it runs pretty smooth. So that's the only thing I've changed about when I've actually set up these cars. After the motoring video I did, it actually took me about a couple of hours to work out these couplings, how I was going to do it, and we got to the right stage in the end. Anyway, this is probably the last underground train I'm going to motorise. I've got another 3-car 1938 stock in the box, and I've got another 4-car silver 5962, both static and both can be converted. I may do those down the line at some point, but not right now. Anyway, we've got Met 20 over in the other side platform. We've got the 1938 stock ready to go, platform 1, and we've got a nice rake of GRESLEY coaches, which I got off eBay the other day. You'll see that in a minute. And I'll get things generally running. And also I've got to shut the old drapes in here because it's getting rather hot on the layout, and I don't like doing things like that. So anyway, I'll see you in a mo. Right, back over to the talking tea towel. Right, I want to show you some really cool items that I managed to buy off eBay recently, and I couldn't not let these go because someone was asking, I think they wanted 89, 90 pounds for a set of 4, and I managed to get a set of 4 coaches. I'm going to show you in a minute. I got the set of 4, one for 23 pounds and £2 something postage, and the other was 24 pounds and a couple of pence postage, and it was really good. So anyway, I'll show you what I'm going to show you. So here it goes. Here's the first one, and again, these are really nice. I haven't got any of these in this colour. You might be able to see it by now. Oh look, these lovely maroon Eastern Region GRESLEY coaches. I say Eastern Region, these to me they're more Eastern Region than the teak ones, but these are lovely, in immaculate condition, and they really are nice coaches. There's a little bit of damage there on one of the windows, a little split in the glass there, but again, that's not going to notice too much, to be honest with you. So they're in pretty much good condition. Wheels are okay underneath, all the underfloor. Chassis seems to be complete. The buffers are there. Gangway's okay. Coupling hooks in place on both ends. This all seems tidy. So I got one of those which came like that, but also in the same box that it came in. Came another one in the box. Again, the box is a little bit scuff worn here and there, but I'm not too worried about that because the box is in reasonable condition as long as it stores the thing and it's okay. What's the catalogue number, just out of reference? It is R483 British Railways composite coach in maroon livery. So these are ex-GRESLEY's, ex-teak coaches in maroon. And these are the sort of things that in the 1950s you would have seen passing through on the Eastern Region between London, Liverpool Street up to Norwich. And being as my layout is a Great Eastern themed layout primarily, these are going to go great behind, for example, my N7, my B1, an A4, and all my Eastern Region engines, and N2. All my Eastern Region locos will really look good behind this. Obviously B17, stuff like that. And also here's the other lot I got as well. So I got those, and I got another one as well. So that's all in all, that's 4 coaches, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 here. So I got that lot, which is 4 coaches, and then up here in my odds and sods I've got another one, which is the brake third, which basically makes up a nice little 5-car rake. So So I'm really pleased with those. That's me 5 car rated Gresleys. Very pleased with those. As you notice on this one, I did slightly weather this one here with some coal dust, literally, and with my fingers just worked it into the bodywork by hand, dipping it in the coal dust with my fingers and just literally going to town on the bodywork, rubbing it in every crevice and cranny. And then obviously not being able to see this on camera too well, but that's a little bit shot there. Look, you can see where it's got in the cracks there, and it really does make it look a bit more lifelike. So I might do the same with these ones. I don't know. I mean, some people argue that you shouldn't have shiny rolling stock on the layout because it doesn't look right, but I do like these as they are. But again, I might add some weathering detail to these at a later stage. Probably will actually. So that's a nice rake of 5 maroon Gresleys, and if I wanted to, I could throw this in the mix as well. This is a blood and custard liveried, as it was called, rhubarb and custard, whatever you want to call it. Gresley coach, exactly the same but in a different colour. Again, this one's been weathered up. This shows the weathering more better, this one does, that I used with the old coal dust there. So anyway, that's that. I was up there. So I think what I'll do now, I'll close the video with some running with these Gresleys hooked up to a suitable engine. I'll get the old 1938 stock running so you can see the difference between the size and height of mainline trains and tube trains. And before I close the video, I want to say take care to you all. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I hope to see you again soon in the next video, wherever that may be. Take care and God bless. Bye bye.